It's a pleasure to be here. Pleasure talking to you. So my name is Heissam Hartmann. I'm 15 years in this beautiful business called technology business. I had a pleasure to work for some of the interesting companies in the world. I also became active as a business angel. Just today there was a news about the company Creditech, which we got 100 million funding from Naspers. It was very successful. I'm very happy about it, so I'm in a good mood. And I would like to talk a little bit about what is celebrity and influencer marketing. So what does influencer marketing mean? So what is actually general someone who influences others? It's actually someone who has reach, relevance, and resonance in a specific target group and can influence them in a positive way, or also sometimes, unfortunately, in a negative way, but the people we're talking about is about a positive way. In the other way, you could also say that if you have a brand, you talk to social influencers, they actually bring you to others, and then they start the word-of-mouth advertisement, and that's one of the newest marketing initiatives where we see phenomenal results, which I'm talking later, and I think that's something everybody who has a company either targeting consumers or even business should think about to do. What's the big difference between celebrity endorsement and influencer marketing? I mean, celebrity endorsements we know all when we grow up, you know, all football players or movie stars that do like advertising for perfumes, for drinks, whatever. If you see at the latest study, most of the brands actually started to implement into their endorsement strategy social media stars or vloggers or YouTube stars because it has grown in the last years, as everybody knows, very, very fast. Still, the movie actors and models and TV people are still one of the tops, but I think the social media stars took a big stake of the budget from all these companies. Celebrities are kind of role models, as we know. So fans of these celebrities want to be with them, want to do what they do, want to buy products they like. So it's more like a kind of a, endorsement with a strategy of getting people who idolize these people. And it's just more in a broader way, but it's pretty effective and have a very big impact. The so-called influencers, they're actually more focusing on a specific target group. They became kind of an expert, a spokesperson for the people they're following. And there you see also sometimes better results when it comes to hard KPIs like sales figures or others, because even if they have not the large numbers of followers, they actually have a better conversion. So far, you can see these are one of the most highest paid celebrities on Instagram. So someone like Beyonce, Selena, or Kendall, they're making up to $1 million for a post or three. They still get these budgets because it's working. It's working for the brands. And you can see their footprint also on other platforms are phenomenal. And if you have a product which fits, we did something with Kendall Jenner, I'm going to show later, you're going to see immediately an impact after she's starting to become active and promoting your product. Why it's important? There's a lot of KPIs about it, but I think one of the most important is that content marketing, if like a normal person puts out content marketing, you see that the engagement is decreasing because people get so much content from so much sources, and also people are starting to use ad blockers. So actually, that's why it's important. You need to go to a social influencer or celebrity, which of course a fan or a follower will not block his content. So that's why it's one of the main reasons why this is becoming more and more important. The other thing is trust. I mean, especially in the normal influencer way, people say like 92% of the people would actually trust the people they're following on Instagram, which they have a specific brand and knowledge, and would buy the things or would try out the things or discover the things they're recommending. From the marketeer side, what is interesting is that, one KPI I like is like 37% better retention. So if you compare it to other channels, this true word-of-mouth advertising, the consumer you're acquiring, they're much more active and much more loyal. If you look at the budget allocation, you see that, almost 40% of the people putting influencer marketing before paid search and others in the next 12 months on their budget plans because they see their results. This is another interesting survey we did. So it's like 48% of the people say we're going to increase influencer marketing budget in 2017. How and where? So I think what is important if you want to start celebrity or influencer marketing is to make sure what is your goal. And most of the goals is like, or one of the most successful goals is if you have a product launch, something new to tell the world. I think that's the right strategy. What is kind of, you know, still a little bit tricky is if you have crisis or stress and you want to use them, you can actually get a better reputation, but it can still work. But everything in between that, it's the right strategy you should go. But you should think about it before you start to talk to influencers. What is actually your goal? You see other brands which are very successful, spending millions on influencer marketing. They're looking mainly on creating authentic content about the brand, which is authenticity is very important these days. And others is like, of course, drive engagement around the product or other things. You know, so I think grow my email database or getting leads, it's not the right channel, as you see. How do you measure? Very important. So when we mainly work when we do product sales campaigns, we work with vouchers, so we can actually track the sales through the vouchers. Most of the people track engagement, so likes, comments, shares, the reach you have through the followers, and the traffic you might get back if you're working on Facebook or YouTube. You're going to have a link, so you can also measure the traffic you have. The key players in the market is obviously Facebook. Instagram is becoming the #1, I'm going to tell you later. YouTube is still big, and then there's other players like Pinterest, and also WordPress is pretty strong, because especially if you have a product, it's a little bit complex, you need someone like blogging about it, then the blog is the best way to do that. If you look at the marketeers, they're mainly putting money into Facebook and Instagram, and you know that Facebook bought Instagram. They're integrating both platforms now, so you do actually one campaign and you have like 2 platforms. And then Snapchat is growing. I will tell later about it. And as I said, Instagram it's killing it. If you look at the brand-sponsored influencer post growth from influence on Instagram, you see from 2016. It's almost double to 2017, and they think that in 2019 they're going to have something like over 30 million sponsored posts on Instagram. The new hero is Snapchat. It's pretty strong. They had yesterday night their Q1 results. They're now on 160 million active users. A Snapchat user spends 30 minutes per day in the app, and it creates 3 billion. They're creating 3 billion snaps every single day. It's a massive monster. What is important on Snapchat to know is not only a social media platform or a network, it's actually becoming a hardware company. Spectacles, people using spectacles, they have it introduced 6 months ago. They're already done 5 million snaps to date. The new spectacles version will integrate augmented reality, so you walk around with your spectacles and you see things on the stage. So it's actually killing the whole kind of video and augmented reality advertisement format, especially if you think about wearables like sunglasses or hats or something. It's going to be huge. Even they had a little drop yesterday on the market. They're still valuated like one of the biggest companies in the world. There's also another player in there, which maybe not everybody knows, but if you ask your kids, they might know. It's Musical.ly. It's actually Chinese companies growing pretty fast. You see they have already 80 million registered users, around 20 million in the US. And what is interesting more is the followers, the influencers you have on the platform. If you look, for example, to Lisa, who has like 12.5 million followers on Musical.ly, but only 7 on Instagram, you see the shifting is here. So the people are actually very engaged on that new platform, and I think you're going to hear about this pretty soon, especially if you're in the millennials marketing. I think that's some platform you should definitely look at, especially if you like connect your brand with music or entertainment. That's a platform you should look at. Celebrity impact, I mean, it's clear if you look at the biggest platforms, among the top 5, there's always celebrities. So Ronaldo, #1 on Facebook, Shakira, Vin Diesel, YouTube, Justin Bieber, of course, music is driven by YouTube, Instagram, Selena Gomez, Ariana Grande, Beyonce, they're just one of the biggest. And if you look at Instagram, which I showed before, 700 million active users and alone 120 million following Selena. It's like a big celebrity impact. Let's talk a little bit about the things that we have done. So this is one campaign we did with a wonderful product from London. It's a personalized book for children. So you actually put your name for your children in it, and then they produce a story. And then by reading this with your child, she or her discover her name. It's very interesting. It's very magical. We did a campaign with celebrities, but also influencers. These are the most successful influencers campaigns. These are people, normal moms on Instagram, having a huge follower base in that target group. And we reached 1.3 million, let's say, followers, among them a lot of moms. We did 565 orders, and we reached the cost per order by around £11, which is almost 40% outperforming any other channel. And that's only sales metrics. So it's not taking into account what's the brand, the brand increase, and you have all these awareness factors, which we're not tracking at the moment. You can see in 1.3 million, you reach them. But on the sales alone, it's outperforming any other channel, even Facebook. Other campaigns we did with Kylie Jenner, as I mentioned before, Fit Tea. They sold, I can't say the official number, but they sold like out after she posted their pictures. With King Bach, it's a US comedy. We did like Cap'n Crunch, which is kind of Kellogg's. Then we did like, for umbrellas, and also even e-cigarettes, where you have like a strong regulation. You cannot do Facebook marketing. We actually use influencer marketing to push the product. Other partnerships we also do is not only on influencer marketing, we do real partnerships between celebrities and brands. We did something with Robbie, Roger, Usher, and these are just a few examples we're doing. And the main reason why we do that is our approach is we think there's a big benefit for both sides inside the symbiosis between an influencer or celebrity and a brand and a startup who actually brings innovation relevance, disrupting an industry, and the celebrity hooking up on the passion. So we're not these kind of guys going to them, talking to the agent, asking the price, and putting a campaign. We're talking directly to the artist, and we're talking to them about their passion, their know-how, and their network, and what they would like to get involved in. I give you 2 examples. Actually, all the deals we do, they're under NDA because we want to protect both sides. Sometimes the startup get bust. Sometimes the celebrity do some crazy shit. So until a certain stage, we tell them both, don't talk about it. But I give you 2 examples. We did something with an international music star. He's a golf addict. He loves to go golfing everywhere. And we brought a company which having like an intelligent golf ball. And whenever he's on a court and playing, of course, the owner comes, wants to make a picture with him. He's a very famous guy. And then all he's saying is, he's giving a card and saying, look, check out my company. I've invested recently. And of course, the owner of the big pitch, calling the startup and saying, hey, I just met this guy. Why don't we talk? So that's a little example, how they can, beside the money, also influence the brand and the startup. Another example is a football player who loves horses. He puts all his money in raising horses. And actually, he is actually now one of the investors in one of the upcoming analytics companies for horse racing. So at the end of the day, you see that we do it differently. We're not only looking at, you're a football player, so you should promote a football shoe. No, we're looking at the passion side and about the network and about the know-how. Because we believe in passion drives success. So if you talk to this guy, to this music guy, or a football player, he's an expert now in horse racing and playing golf because he's doing it every day. Celebrity investors, some of the deals we did, as I said, also ending up in investments. And there's a lot of people now, mainly driven by the US, investing in capital. Ashton was starting very early. Actually, the story of Ashton is interesting because one of the Silicon Valley fund approached him and said, hey, why don't you go out and put our money into startups so we get better deal flow? And then also he decided to do it because he wanted to apply for the Steve Jobs role. So it makes a perfect fit for both. And now he has his own fund and starting and investing more and more. What we see upcoming, especially in Europe, is the football players, the sports athletes, tennis players. We work with tennis players as well, because they also have the capital to put money into companies. And you see also in the States, it's growing really fast. And as I say, we do it in a way that we don't go to them and tell them, oh, that's a great investment opportunity. We don't do that, because then all these advisors popping up around them. So we go to them and say, hey, you love golf. You love horse racing. This is something you should look at. And if you can think in any way to work with them, just meet them. And then when they meet them and they start working, sometimes it's a commercial deal, sometimes it's an ambassador deal, but more and more, even if they like the founders, like the star or the influencers and their sympathy, they're actually starting to invest. And that's our approach, and that's what we believe in. It's not the fastest approach. It's not calling them and saying, yeah, okay, in 1 month you're going to get the money, but it's more sustainable than just being a financial advisor. that's it. So thanks for your attention, and I would like to hear some questions if you have.
Thank you very much. So we have a couple of questions here. Don't forget you can use Slido to ask the questions.
Oh, what's that?
Yes, so that's some of the questions I shall be reading. Don't read them. Pretend I've come up with them. You're reading them. Okay. How did you get into the celebrity marketing business? What's your beginnings?
It's funny. I mean, my first job was I was doing a website about a celebrity I was adoring when I was younger, and this celebrity actually reached out to me and invited me to be on tour with him, and I learned a lot about the business. And doing this tour, I got a call from a very famous internet pioneer, and he asked me if I could support his startup, and then I actually got headhunted by him, and then the journey started. So it was all driven by passion.
Any chance of dropping the names?
People will not believe it, but it was Michael Jackson.
No way.
Yes.
So he phoned you?
No, his manager, and it was really fun because his manager was, back in the day, and his management team was a German guy, and he was saying, hey, kid, you know, Michael thinks these kind of internet things become big, and, you know, I don't know what it is, but if he likes it, if he wants that you're on tour, you should come. And it was 97, so Michael was always a visionary. So.
Dude, but seriously, if someone says, hello, I'm the manager of Michael Jackson, I'd like to talk to you, don't you like, yeah, and put the phone down?
Somehow like this. Yeah.
Okay. And who is the initial celebrity? Can you also share that? With whom were you on tour before? The German celebrity?
No, that was Michael. Yeah, Michael. Okay. We kept the line. We did a lot of campaigns with eBay on my video. We always worked together, tried to support each other, and yeah. And I miss him every day.
That's a crazy story. Okay, wow. Wow, big wow. If a brand that has just opened would like to advertise itself with an influencer, how can you support this big expense? Is there a compromise? Kind of, I think the question is maybe if they want to be associated with a specific influencer and maybe they don't quite have the money, is there
That's okay. There's so-called a trend called micro-influencer. So these are people having like below 10,000 followers, and you get them sometimes by giving them your product for free. So you tell them, hey, you like my product? Yes, I like it. You get it for free, great. And then if you can promote it, and someone will actually use your, let's say, voucher code, I'm going to compensate you on the revenues. It's working. I mean, it's working for micro-influencers, but it's a lot of work, because to reach like 1 million people, you have to work with a lot of influencers. But you could start with so-called micro-influencers.
And what if you're like a young startup, you know, you have to have this big celebrity, but you can't quite afford that? Is there like mixed deals, anything you can...
Oh yeah, there is. I mean, especially, as I said, our approach is passion connected. So when they love the company, when they love the product, and we see it, they love it. And then also, what is the most important thing, they like you as a founder. There is nothing like guarantees, and you know, there's just a partnership involving.
But out of interest, what would be the best way for some people maybe here in the audience to also maybe get their first foot into that topic? What's the best? Just approach you and tell them why they would be fitting for a specific celebrity? Or
yeah, yesterday I met a company, for example, in Slovenia. They're doing something in tennis wearables, and he was very professional guy, very good founder, not going crazy, has already some connections. Product looks promising. So, and now we decided that I'm actually reaching out to some of the people, just telling them the idea, getting interest, and then slowly involving.
So if you hear something, you're open to hear from people here, right? Okay, that's kind of a half German yes, in a way, in a polite way.
It is.
I'm half German, I can say that. Is influencer marketing all about lifestyle, games, and food? In what other niche areas do you see potential?
I mean, yes, it's consumer-driven heavily, but also on the business side, I see more and more movement. Real estate, financial advisory, you know, there's a lot of movement. But yes, the main categories, I think I don't show it, but the main categories are still like, you know, fashion, not games. I mean, games is on YouTube pretty strong, but it's not really relevant on the other platforms. You know, fashion is very strong. Products like, you know, consumer products like the book, diet, healthy food, all this kind of stuff is pretty famous. But I would bet that there's, for every product, there's an influencer.
So it's, and do you expect that the companies that approach you also say already, these are the influencers we're considering, or is that something you guys do? It's
a joint effort. So they come up with a wish list. I always tell them, tell me your wish list. You know, just make a white paper and put like, you know, whatever, Roger Federer, you know?
Yeah.
And then I'm filling it up with reality and saying, okay, this guy is, not Roger is great, but maybe this other guy is like not working because we have experience, but here's others. And then we are creating a joint target list.
And also out of interest, how do you handle like fake profiles on some? Because you always see like buy profiles on Instagram and suddenly overnight you have a million followers.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't, but
it's data. So there's analytics out there we have access to. So we are using the data. So engagement rates, you know,
Got
you
it.
know, everything is measurable these days. So it's just data.
Got it. Yeah. Cheers. Similar question to what we had before. How can a small brand take contact with the big influencer? You basically answered that. Anything you'd like to add to it?
The big stars, it's pretty tough because there's a lot of middlemen. So you have to go to a trusted source, and we are working since 15 years on building trusted sources. Normal influencers, you just write them. You go on Instagram, message, hey, my product, why don't we talk? And if they're not so big, they will answer. If they're big, they're gonna maybe give you the contact detail of the manager. If they're big and arrogant, they will not answer.
Okay. Here's an interesting question. Any experience in using big data psychographics to detect influencers that aren't directly related to a product niche? Like Metallica fans usually like BMWs.
Oh, it's pretty simple. You actually look at there's data, there's analytics. We have software we're using from the States. You can put in a hashtag like Metallica, and you see exactly who is talking, like blogging or posting about it, where they're related. Everything is transparent. It's really very easy to reach out to any niche. So yeah, if you call it big data, these companies in the States, they're very well funded, they're very expensive to use because they are aggregating all the data and making it transparent. And new players like Snapchat and Musical.ly, they're forced to open APIs to provide to this data flow because this is what marketeers wants to know, right? What's the data behind? Because at the end of the day, you know, it needs to be measurable.
Just out of interest, who of you uses Musical.ly?
The kids, maybe.
That's so funny because for me, like I'm 35. Every year, there's a new social, some network that comes. Like I've never heard of, and a million kids use it. And you're just like,
it's the kids doing it.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
In a way, I lecture in university, and we started there. And my first question was, they're all like 25, and I was like, what kind of stories do you use? Is like Instagram stories better than Snapchat, than Facebook? And they looked at me as if I was like some random idiot, which I probably am, but it's just totally beyond me.
Europe was always a little bit behind. You know, when I was 1.5 years in New York, I had the pleasure to meet the Snapchat founders, and I immediately came back and created a Snapchat agency called PowerSnap. And you know, and I talked to my partners, hey, let's make a Snapchat agency. They said, what? I said, guys, I mean, this is going to change the world. What? And you know, I had to really convince them to create the PowerSnap agency. And now, after their IPO, everybody knows how big they are. So it's kind of, you know, yeah, it's kind of, we're a little bit lagging.
Which is also good. It's also okay. Do you contact your base influencers case by case, as in contact them directly, or do you use some kind of a platform, especially when micro-influencers are
Yes,
involved?
we have a software we're using from the States. I know one of the founders of the software solution, and we are actually contacting them case by case, but we have them really structured, categorized. In the influencer business, when it comes to celebrities, we always try to engage with them as much as we can to build a relationship. So I have a partner in Los Angeles, and he's taking care mainly about the US stars. I'm taking care maybe about sports in Europe. So we really try to meet them as often as we can. Building relationships. Yeah.
Here's another question. What are the steps to start the strategy of celebrity marketing? What are kind of the individual steps you have to undergo?
First of all, really understanding your own product and your goals and your customers. And then analyzing your customers and saying, okay, who they are following, who they are adoring, you know, who they are idolizing. And then you're talking, and then you're looking at them, and then you make another list and saying, are these people I want to work with? Are these people which are reliable? Are these people I can reach? And then the list gets smaller and smaller.
Okay. What else have we got? How to find the right connections and the right offer to generate interest of influencers. What are the main mistakes to avoid? That's a good one. Yeah, what are kind of like common
you
mistakes?
mentioned it, like not having like the right KPIs and just working with fake profiles, not knowing the target group, not knowing your strategy. So, for example, just telling someone to post will not help. Also, you have the measurement criteria and the software behind, so you can measure the success. Yeah, these are the main mistakes. Yeah, I mean it's actually pretty simple.
You often have to tell brands that the person they think they should be associated is probably not the person they should be going for.
90%.
So they go,
especially you have the founder, the CEO, the big guy, telling me, I want to work with Roger Federer. I'm a big fan. I don't care. Say, okay, if you have some PR budget which you can actually throw out the window and you want to do this campaign, you can do it. But if you want to have results, you might go to another guy. It's always driven by, when it comes to celebrities, by this emotional kind of, it's also on the investment side. We have seen startups where attract a celebrity, and then they got calls from VCs and saying, look, I don't care about your valuation. I just want to have a meeting with your celebrity investor. I just want to be on a board with them, And they don't care, So, and before they called them up saying, oh, no, I think valuation is, let's say, 10 million, And then the celebrity comes in, I don't care, it's 20, I don't care, let's do it.
How often? I mean, it sounds
it's emotional, it's a human component.
But it sounds like ego is a huge part of your business, isn't it? I would assume.
Yeah, I would call it human component.
That's a very, very friendly way of putting it, but it sounds that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it's fun.
And then you have to
because the people are motivated,
and then
they're passionate.
And then you have to tell people like George Clooney isn't quite your person. Maybe you go for Peter Falk and they're insulted, or how does it kind of work?
Yeah, yeah. Or they have a meeting. We have a meeting with George, and then his manager tells us he thinks the founder is a jerk. Everything can happen.
By the way, it sounds so funny. We have a meeting with George. Yeah, it's things you do in life. Yes, yes. Do you think that all big brands are moving their marketing strategies into this direction? I.e., also kind of changing from the classical marketing mix going strong into
I showed this one slide where you actually see that everybody's shifting, which, I think it makes sense. I mean, look, influencer marketing is not new. One of the first target groups in the world was skateboarders. They started to become influencers by not knowing. So brands were actually giving them a lot of products because they have figured out that they're very influential. Skateboarders connected each other and did these tricks. So it's not really like new, but yeah, I think what is new is the channels, and the new people, like these YouTube stars, which are actually pretty tough to handle, I have to say. Especially if you have someone who makes a lot of money on YouTube, Instagram. It's because they're so new in this business, they do sometimes things, or they're sometimes forming their character still.
You mean
and if you work with a
brats.
celebrity, it's different, because they have been in the business many years.
So are you saying YouTubers are kind of spoiled brats in a way?
No, I wouldn't say that.
Okay, you wouldn't say that. Okay, no, you wouldn't say that. That's fine with me. Not as professional as the other ones. How to find the right connections and the right offer to generate. No, we had that one. How can a startup with limited resources negotiate a reasonable deal with the big names that cost millions? Any hints and tricks? I mean, we had that question twice before, but seemingly it's still continuously being asked.
It's all based on trust, so you need to find a trusted connection to this person. It's the only answer. You have to build relationships, and then you have trust, and then you can reach out to them, and then they listen to you. It's not like you can call them up and say something magical, except you can say I have a big check. You say I pay whatever you want, but this is not the case here. So yeah, you go to people who have established relationships since many years with these people. Trusted relationships.
I mean, there's one kind of like a follow-up question, and that is, what are the usual types of deals, costs associated with these type of deals? Other words, how big is the check? I know it's very difficult, but it's like a lot
I showed
serious.
this one slide, Beyonce gets up to $1 million. We don't do these deals. Other agencies doing these deals, we don't do these deals. We're working with Beyonce at the moment with the children book, because she got twins now. So we don't do these deals. But you can do these deals, but when you work with us, it takes a while. It takes a while. Because they have to meet you, they have to understand and love the product, they have to meet you as a person. When it comes to influencers, it's pretty fast, because they're living out of it, right? So they have a process in place. So you contact them, you suggest a deal, you negotiate, you put the product up, bam, done. But when it comes to celebrities, totally different scope.
Is there like a kind of an age type limit of people you can actually reach via the influencers?
No. Look at the platforms. I mean, all of them, Facebook, all age groups you target. The new ones, young, of course, Snapchat, Musical.ly. But when you look at Facebook or YouTube, you can actually reach every person on that platforms. So try it out. I would say try it out. Look around you. Look to some people you already follow, influencers, Instagram people. Talk to them. Build a relationship. Some of them become stars in the future. So they're going to be the next, whatever, Kylie Jenner. So start to build relationship with them now.
You heard the man. In that sense, Heissam, Thank you very much.
It was a pleasure.
Thanks for being here. Thank you. Cheers.